एंड दैट्स व्हाई अपन ने ये रख दिया।
तो अभी फिलहाल पोस्टपोन हो गया जब तक कि स्थिति इंप्रूव नहीं हो जाए।
हाँ, तो रिटर्निंग ऑफिसर को पावर है, काउंसिल ने भी रिटर्निंग ऑफिसर को पावर दी है। ही विल डिसाइड व्हेन टू होल्ड द इलेक्शंस।
Okay. Participants are 8.
अभी इन्होंने ये जो है इनमें इन्होंने पेमेंट कर दिया है ना, इन्होंने तो
पेमेंट नहीं किया है, इसने क्रेडिट लिया।
ये सप्लायर ने अपलोड नहीं किया है।
हाँ, तो इसने क्रेडिट लिया ना,
तो ये सप्लायर से रिम्बर्स कराएंगे ना।
तो सप्लायर तो फिर हमको इतना पेमेंट करना पड़ेगा ना जितनी मैं 3D में लिया।
तो नॉट इन जीएसटी है ना,
नॉट इन जीएसटी है ना, तभी तो मैंने गलत क्रेडिट ले लिया ना फिर जीएसटी में नहीं तो, और सो यूटिलाइज भी किया 3D में।
लिखा क्लेम्ड इन मई 2019 एंड बुक्ड इन मई 2019।
हाँ, सही बात है ना।
हाँ,
तो बुक लिया ना, क्रेडिट भी लिया,
रिवर्स करेंगे ना।
तो रिवर्स करें तो पेमेंट करना पड़ेगा ना वो।
हाँ, पेमेंट करना पड़ेगा तो रिवर्स कराएंगे ना सर उनसे।
वो ठीक है, तो फिर पेमेंट अभी तो डीआरसी 03 भाई सेल करना पड़ेगा
ना।
तो बोलो उनको।
ये है एक तो जो नॉट इन
तो फिर ये कौन से साल का है?
ये 19-20 का है।
19-20 का अपना कितना नेगेटिव आ रहा है एग्जैक्टली टेबल 8 में?
ये वो जो 1,18,000 के बाद या पहले?
हाँ, आपको म्यूट करना पड़ेगा वरना आपके सारे क्लाइंट की बात हम सब सुन लेंगे। अरे नहीं और वो भी सुन लेंगे। अरे नहीं और नॉलेज भी आ जाएगा हमको। मैं 1 मिनट में आया, 1 मिनट में आया।
Bishan bhai.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening, sir. Romil.
Oh, चावड़ा साहब बदो। ओके। हाँ, रोमिल भाई ड्राइव करी है आज।
हाँ, राइट सर. सर रजिस्ट्रेशन तो 30+ છે.
બરાબર છે.
ISD પ્રમાણે સાહેબ ધીરે ધીરે in the progress of the seminar.
Yes.
Joining and graduate.
No issue sir. સર આપણે તો મુકેશભાઈ આવી ગયા, તમે આવી ગયા, રોમિલભાઈ આવી ગયા એટલે બધું પતી ગયું.
यस सर, लद्दा जी चार्मिंग फेस है।
अरे मेरे भगवान, आज सुबह से कोई मिला नहीं क्या?
अरे नहीं यार,
सर दिन खुश हो जाता है सर आपको देखने से।
मैंने सर
वही है।
बिशन भाई से बताऊं मैं आपको, बिशन भाई में इतनी वाइब्रेंट एनर्जी है ना, उनसे मिलने से ऑटोमेटिक सर पॉजिटिव एनर्जी आ ही जाती है
सर इसलिए तो बोला नहीं सर।
फुल ऑफ एनर्जी और पॉजिटिव एनर्जी।
सही बात है सर।
सर
आई
सर
सैल्यूट
सर
बिशन भाई, सैल्यूट।
अरे सर सर सर
सर एवर स्माइलिंग,
ऑलवेज एंड सपोर्टिव सर।
सही बात है।
थैंक यू
वेरी।
थैंक यू।
सर बिशन भाई ने मुझे बोला कि चावड़ा जी, यू कैन अरेंज वन सेमिनार फॉर मी फॉर एवरी मंथ, नो इश्यू, आई एम ऑलवेज अवेलेबल फॉर द मेंबर्स।
ग्रेटनेस सर।
और
सही
और
बात है।
लड्डा जी ऐसा पैनल डिस्कशन तो रखना ही चाहिए, मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है, since the law is evolving and we want capacity building amongst the members, so
एटलीस्ट
it's
सर,
better.
एटलीस्ट मैं बताऊं, मेरा एक सजेशन है, बिकॉज यू आर पार्ट ऑफ द मैनेजिंग कमेटी एंड यू, आई थिंक इन कमिंग टाइम यू विल, we wish that you will be president and you will go ahead also. At least for indirect tax committee now we should have a meeting, sir.
Yes.
This is my humble request and proposition, sir.
And Mukesh bhai, not only for the indirect tax committee, whoever, like say in your CP study circle, because you know sometimes people are not able to come at Ahmedabad or at appropriate time to join in this knowledgeable seminar, so it's better if we can keep in small groups also, like so say in your Gandhinagar, maybe
Brajesh
our members are interested, yes, and members are interested or
indirect tax
more.
में से बताऊं मैं आपको, who is in having the good interaction with all others and having leading position, बाकी सब ठीक है ना सर, बिकॉज बाकी सबके लिए फिल्टर्ड नॉलेज दे सकते हैं हम, लेकिन जो वास्तव में सोलली प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं या जिसका इंडायरेक्ट टैक्स में मेजर प्रैक्टिस है, आई फील वी शुड हैव अ पैनल डिस्कशन।
नहीं सर, आप ना, हाँ बस सही बात है लड्डा जी, सही बात है
सर। ये काम कर सकते हैं लद्दा जी, हम यही महीने से चालू कर सकते हैं सर, एटलीस्ट वन मीटिंग इन अ मंथ।
डन सर।
और जो
इवन सर क्या कर सकते हैं,
अमेंडमेंट
जो
है,
नए रिसेंट जजमेंट्स है, जैसे आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट आया, एक वैसा जजमेंट आया, वी कैन डिस्कस एंड हाउ वी कैन गेट इट इम्प्लीमेंटेड विद इन डिपार्टमेंट, बिकॉज वी आल्सो हैव अ गुड फेस विद डिपार्टमेंट आंसर, इसमें क्या करना चाहिए। एग्जांपल बिशन
और
भाई
हमारे मेंबर्स के,
क्योंकि विद इन आवर फैटर्निटी सर, सम ऑफ द मेंबर्स आर हैविंग वेरी गुड फेस अमंग डिपार्टमेंट, तो वो दैट बेनिफिट वी कैन टेक सर।
and that benefit, that relations which we have established with the department, so that benefit we can pass over to our members.
सर मैं अभी
कोई नया लड़का है,
मैं भी थर्सडे को पहली बार मीटिंग किया मैंने अपने वल्लवी साहब से, गांधीनगर के जो कमिश्नर है, फर्स्ट मीटिंग में सर मेरी मीटिंग जो गई ना सर 1 आवर की थी।
सही है।
नाउ यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि हमने 1 घंटे में क्या क्या बातें की होगी सर, उन्होंने मेरे से 3-4 टेक्निकल इश्यू भी पूछे, हमने डिस्कस भी किए। नाउ वी हैव वेरी कोऑर्डिनेट रिलेशनशिप।
सही है।
तो इन दैट केस सर दिस रिलेशनशिप कैन बी हैव अ beneficial for all
yes
members.
and so far as the CGST or SGST is concerned, say I am in GST redressal committee of the council, और उसके हिसाब से जैसे हमारे कोई मेंबर्स को यहाँ पे अहमदाबाद में तो मैं ट्राई करता ही हूँ कि इफ SGST वाले ने कोई नोटिस ऐसा दे दिया, उसमें दे आर ऑल्सो डिमांडिंग समथिंग विच इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड एट ऑल, विच इज नॉट प्रिस्क्राइब इन द लॉ, सो डेफिनेटली वी कैन टेक इट फॉरवर्ड। ये मीटिंग होती है, आप वहां से जो CGST का है तो वहां पे ही अपने तो बैठते हैं, और आपका भी अच्छा ही है वहाँ रिलेशन, बाकी सब मेंबर्स के भी होंगे, तो वहां पे आप कर सकते हैं। अगर वो कुछ में दिक्कत आती है, जैसे गांधीनगर में अभी यहाँ से मैंने सुना है कि प्रिवेंटिव इज वो नो काम कर रहे हैं वो लोग, तो प्रिवेंटिव के सारे, कल ऊंझा में भी कुछ हुआ था या कहीं पे भी हो रहा है, तो वी कैन डेफिनेटली हेल्प अवर मेंबर। अपने को उसमें से कुछ चाहिए नहीं है, हमको कुछ चाहिए नहीं, हमको कोई ऐसा नहीं कि उसका क्लाइंट हम ले ले, बट एक कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग हो जाएगा। चावड़ा जी ऐसा कर सकते हैं हम लोग, वी कैन डेफिनेटली, अगर कोई क्लाइंट है उनका और उनमें उनको दिक्कत आ रही है, कुछ उसमें उनको हेल्प चाहिए, तो वी कैन गाइड देम, गाइड मेंबर, और वी विल बी हैप्पी दैट इफ प्रॉब्लम ऑफ आवर मेंबर्स आर गेटिंग सॉल्व।
सर मैं बताऊं आपको, मैंने मेरी तरफ से बिशन भाई से प्रपोजल दिया है कमिश्नर को कि सर फ्रॉम आवर साइड इन लीडिंग जो चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंसी में जो इंडायरेक्ट टैक्स की प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, we will come and train your officers, we will give the training, तो जो बिना मतलब न्यूआंसेज क्रिएट हो रहे हैं जिसमें आपका फेस खराब हो रहा है, कोर्ट के सामने जाकर वो रुक जाएगा।
बट लड्डा जी, वो प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि सीजीएसटी में ज्यादा नहीं प्रॉब्लम। अगर आप हाई कोर्ट्स में रेट भी देखेंगे ना, तो यू विल फाइंड इट कि वी आर हैविंग प्रॉब्लम विद द एसजीएसटी ऑफिसर्स, जैसे रजिस्ट्रेशन में हो गया, रिफंड में हो गया। सो ये एक दिक्कत है। बाकी सीजीएसटी में तो आई गेस के दे आर वेरी मच कंजर्वेंट विद द लॉज, बहुत कम है। और बट
इवन रजिस्ट्रेशन के अंदर भी बहुत सर स्मूथ है, रजिस्ट्रेशन सीजीएसटी के बहुत स्मूथ है, एसजीएसटी में बहुत पंगा है।
तो यू आर करेक्ट, ऐसा कुछ भी हम, और 1 महीने में गांधीनगर के लिए तो अपने को करना ही चाहिए, क्योंकि कमिश्नरेट भी अलग है। एंड इफ यू आर टेकिंग लीड तो वो ठीक रहेगा चावड़ा साहब।
डेफिनेटली लता जी ये करते हैं, और जहां भी हमें बिशन भाई की या अपने ब्रांच में से कहीं पर भी इवन हेल्प रही तो दे आर ऑलवेज विद अस।
यस यस,
आई एम अवेलेबल सर, I will support also anytime.
नहीं ऑलवेज सर, यू इवन ब्रिजेश भाई सर, होल टीम, इवन ये अहमदाबाद हो या गांधीनगर हो, our leading members are always available.
Yes yes,
Definitely. नहीं thank you for guidance Bishan bhai.
अरे sir
start the same practice from the same month itself.
Great.
And now I start Romil. Romil, are you listening?
Hello.
Romil, let us start the meeting. Bhai.
Okay. 1 minute.
Yes yes.
But stop the car.
Good evening to all. Now I welcome today's faculty CA Bishan Shah, convener CA B K CHavda, deputy convener CA Chintan thakkar, and all participants in the 34th CA Gandhinagar Sub meeting for the topic of the latest development in GST from applicable from 1st January 2022. Now, not taking much of time, I request CA B K CHavda for the opening remarks of today's seminar.
Thank you, Romil bhai. And once again, also I welcome Bishan bhai. And the topic is also very important because everybody knows that there are certain changes which are very important, which are getting implemented from the 1st of January 2022. And we all need to go through all that important points. And Bishan bhai is such a very good speaker, and it is very much sure that after completion of this seminar, we will be having hardly any doubt so far as these new changes are concerned. And one very important thing, Bishan bhai, because last since couple of weeks or 3-4 weeks, due to this finalization of tax audits and the last date of filing of income tax return, we had not arranged any seminar so far in 10-15 days. So we are also just relaxed from this seminar session, because every Saturday we are organizing the seminar. And the time was very low when we came to you, sir, and you immediately accepted our invitation and spared your valuable time. So thank you very much, Bishan bhai, for providing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Also, I welcome all the members from our own CP circle. Thank you very much. Romil bhai.
Thank you, CA B K CHavda, sir. Now I request CA Darshi Sejani for the introduction of today's faculty.
Thank you, Romil bhai. Am I audible to you?
Yes.
Yes. I think every member, everybody knows to Bishan Shah sir, because he is our own vice chairman of the Ahmedabad branch, and many times we have organized a meet with him. But still, as a part of my duty, I will introduce Bishan Shah sir. So his introduction is like, say Bishan Shah sir is a BCom LLB fellow chartered accountant. He has also done the DISA, ICI, DIRM, ICI, ITL, and WTO from ICI. CA Bishan Shah sir is the managing partner of the Bishan Shah and company, practicing since 1997 in the field of indirect taxes. He is currently the vice chairman of the Ahmedabad branch of WRC of ICI. He is also chairman of indirect tax committee of the Ahmedabad branch of WRC ICI. He was also chairman of professional development committee of Vikasa Ahmedabad Western India Chartered Accountants Student Association. He is the chairman of Indirect Taxes Study Group of Chartered Accountants Association Ahmedabad. He is a member of the Grievances Redressal Committee of Gujarat. He was special invitee to the Indirect Tax Committee of ICAI New Delhi in the past 3 years. He also represents clients before various indirect taxes authorities, including SESTAT. He is also teaching and is also involving in the teaching field, and he was also author of. He was a professor at a Nirma University for teaching GST to become students of final year. He is also faculty in the GST certification course conducted by ICAI and Gujarat University. He is a regular contributor to various publications of Indirect Tax Committee ICAI New Delhi, and his contribution to a various publications is like as follows: in about the area of background material on GST Act and rules, technical guide on annual return and GST audit, breakdown material of exempted service under GST, e-handbook on job work under GST, e-publication on refund under GST, articles on refund and payment. Faculty is also faculty of various topics on GST and delivered many lectures throughout the country on various forums. He has also conducted the webinars and recorded the short videos on GST organized by Indirect Tax Committee ICAI New Delhi and Bombay Chartered Accountants Society and GST Saheli Government of Gujarat Initiative. He is appearing on TV channels many times for update of GST, and his article is also published in the ICAI Journal on newly amended Rule 36.4. So with this, sir, welcome at our Gandhinagar CP Study Circle. And now I would like to request Mr. Romil Shah to carry out our further program.
Thank you, Darshit. Now I request today's faculty CA Bishan Shah sir for the starting of seminar.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Chavda sir, Romil bhai, Darshit bhai for wonderful introduction, and Mukesh bhai Ladda ji, who is always there in all the programs of the branch so far as the GST is concerned, or whenever we need any support at Indirect Tax Committee at branch, he is always there. So thanks all for giving me this opportunity to present my ideas, my views and amendments, which are very much important for and applicable from 1st January 2022. So I am thankful to CP Study Circle of Gandhinagar. As you are aware that GST is good and simple tax, which has been said by our beloved Prime Minister when the GST was introduced first. Then after these span of, I guess, 4.5 years, and since GST is also going to complete 5 years in this 22 June. But this simple tax or a good tax, yes, it's a tax is good. We all know that we had been accorded with great opportunity of GST audit or GST consultation, I can say. But there is one more opportunity of GST litigation and giving opinions or a consultation. And for that matter, I can say that, yes, it's a good tax because it's a business friendly, as we envisaged at that time. C form, F form, all those things are not there. Even so far as the excise was concerned, we used to go every month to the excise office for filing return, and all those things are now not there. But of course, the trust which reposed by government in the SSEs, somewhere we found that there is some sort of breach of trust between SSEs and government, because so much fake billing, so much bogus billing, and that's how they also tightened the laws related to bogus billing and even input tax credit, which was previously available to SSE very easily. So far as the registration were concerned, at the time when GST law was introduced, it was so simple. But then after, with these fake companies and non-identifiable dealers, government also came with certain authentications so far as the Aadhaar authentication is concerned, and so many other steps they followed to make a due diligence of any taxpayer before granting the registration. So far as the litigation is concerned, friends, we were aware that there are so many litigations currently going on and so many writs in various high courts of India, even in Supreme Court, that we are listening or we are getting updates or judgments, every week 2 or 3 judgments so far as this law is concerned. So our role, though audit is not there now from financial year 2019, financial year 2021, but yes, our role will be there to assist the client in preparing Form 9(9)(c). So we can say that our role is also going to be there so far as the litigation is concerned. And since we are talking about the litigation and disputes, many of us are also assisting our clients to go to tribunal, not tribunal, to file a writ. And at that time, we are also assisting advocates. But we are not charging anything from the client. Now we should try to charge at that time also for the time which we invest in assisting any client for filing writs or everything. So if you think that just we have to go and meet the advocate and we have to brief him, so we should charge at that time. That is what I want to start with, because if you see these amendments, you will find that this litigation which is there is going to be, multifold in coming future. And our value addition to the client, so far as our advisory services are concerned, or our assistance in interpreting the law is concerned, will be there. And that's how it will be an opportunity or multifold opportunity so far as the GST is concerned. And recently, if you had seen this YouTube High Court Live, then you will find that even Justice Pardiwala was also asking a VAT or a SGST officer that, are you aware of these many judgment which has been pronounced by Gujarat High Court? And in return, that lady officer had answered that, no, I am not aware about these High Court judgments. And of course, Pardiwala sir said that as you are in Gujarat, your jurisdictional High Court is Gujarat, and you must aware or you must know all these judgments. So friends, if we are practicing in GST, then I can say we should also sharpen our skills of all these judgments. And yes, amendments and law book, we always try to see and we are abiding to it. So let us start with various amendments. First, in the Act, if you see, we are going to discuss today 6 amendments so far as the Act is concerned, and which are applicable from 1st January 2022. The first is the amendment or insertion of explanation in section 7(1)AA and schedule 2. Then second amendment in section 16 subsection 2 subclause AA. Then self-assessment tax section 75, provisional attachment under section 83, e-way bill related changes in section 129, 130, 107, and change in section 151, 152, and 168, which basically of statistical information which officer can called for, where we were aware that previously in various or one of the newspaper, they mentioned that their power is now increased with this amendment. But if you see the heading of this section, it is only for statistical information or to gather the information That is what the power or the amendment in the section referred to. Yes, changes in rule linking of Aadhaar, that is rule 110B, and a circular regarding supply of restaurant service through electronic commerce operator. This circular is definitely a previous one, but if we want, we can discuss, and if time permits, we will also try to resolve our queries. So what is the amendment so far as the section 7 is concerned? In section 7, in the definition of supply, now clause AA inserted, which talks about the activities or transaction by a person other than an individual to its member or constituents or vice versa for cash, deferred payment, or other valuable consideration. And the explanation which is inserted is, for the purpose of this clause, it is hereby clarified that notwithstanding anything containing any other law for the time being in force, any judgment, decree, or order of any court, tribunal, or authority, the person and its members or constituents shall be deemed to be a two separate person, and the supply of activities or transaction inter se shall be deemed to take place from one such person to another. So why this amendment? We all are aware that there was a judgment of Calcutta Club where the parties from Gujarat were from Ahmedabad, basically, that Karnavati Club, Rajpath Club, and Sports Club. And Honorable Supreme Court, while delivering the judgment was delivered on 4th of October 2019. They said that the transaction between club and member, that is of incorporated club or and amongst the members, are not liable to tax, since there is a principle of mutuality involved, and member and club both are the same, so they are not separate, and hence there will be a no tax levied so far as the service tax is concerned, even pre-negative list and post-negative list, and even VAT is concerned. So in the history of this judgment, there was a judgment of Young Men Association, where in Supreme Court said that the club is acting as an agent of their members. So whatever food which has been procured by this club is as an agent, and when one person supply something to the another, then definitely it will be liable to tax. Whereas club and members, club is acting as an agent who procure goods or services for their members, and hence this transaction is not liable to tax. That is what is decided in Calcutta Club. Now, in GST, in the definition of supply, previously, section 7, they have not included those transactions between members or constituents or vice versa. So they included this in Schedule 2, which talks about whether a particular transaction is a goods or service, and they have classified this transaction as service. But before any transaction to be construed as a supply of service or supply of goods, it should be included in section 7. It was not there. So with this amendment, government proposes or effected transaction between club and member and a club. Here the controversy is, again, I am saying this principle of mutuality is still there. It's there due to the judgment of Supreme Court in Young Men Association. And as we know, the principle of the law, principle of mutuality, says that there will be no transaction involved of supply between member and a club or a society and its members. So controversy is that if club per se having something, produces some goods, or rendering any services, then we can say that there is a transaction or there is a supply between club or a society and member, or association and a member. But where club or this society per se act as an agent of this member, then in such type of transaction, we can say that the principle of mutuality is applicable. And though this amendment is there, this transaction is not liable to GST. That will also be tested at relevant point of time before Honorable Supreme Court in the future. So we can take this thing or a transaction in mind, that yes, if the club or a society is acting as an agent of its member, it should not be liable to tax, though this amendment is there. That is what my view. It's not, so I interpret it like this because I was also present in the Supreme Court while this Kolkata club judgment was argued by learned advocates and even interpreted or pronounced orally by Honorable Supreme Court. So that's what that's what my view for the same. So this schedule we have already discussed. Now the question comes in my mind. This amendment is effected from 1st July 2017. So one can argue that any tax which is being levied by the parliament, can they levy it the same with the retrospective effect? So the answer to this question is yes, parliament has power to levy tax if there are any clarification or amendment in the rule which says that taxability will be affected from retrospective effect, then definitely rules or circulars cannot have retrospective effect. But when parliament amends or parliament says that anything is having a retrospective effect, it's illegal. But with this amendment, yes, settled position of Kolkata club will also be turned down, and a separate controversies will be started. Cooperative societies, so far as the cooperative societies are concerned, whether corpus contributions or a transfer fees, because what happens in cooperative societies, when one member transfer his ownership of any asset, say flat, bungalow or plot, then cooperative society charges transfer fee. So whether on that GST will be applicable or not, yes, with this amendment, we can say that that service is being provided by this cooperative society to its members, and transfer fees are liable to be taxed. So far as the corpus contribution is concerned, yes, in my view, it will not be liable to tax, but any subscription or any fees which has been, or annual fees which has been charged by cooperative society to its member, one can say that yes, it's taxable. If anything has been procured by this cooperative society and the same has been just, the cost has been distributed amongst the members, then in that case, we can say that cooperative society or a club has acted as an agent of this club or a cooperative society or association, and hence, as per the principle of mutuality, not liable to tax. But now, if someone wants to litigate then this type of advice or this type of view has to be taken. Otherwise, one can pay the tax and ask for the refund. So your liability of interest or penalty will be not there, and that's how we as an advisor or a consultant should advise to the clients. Yes, if you see our constitution also, and the reason in the constitution why cooperatives are being formed. So cooperatives are being formed in the constitution also. It has been mentioned that yes, we need a cohesiveness between the citizens of India, and we want a cooperative movement. Gandhiji started this cooperative movement at that relevant point of time, and that's how the cooperatives or clubs are being incorporated in the country. So any questions till now, or if you want to discuss anything, Lataji, if you are there, if you want to add something. Okay.
Sir.
Yes, Lataji, if you want to add something.
नहीं सर, going fine सर. आपके सामने सर क्या ऐड?
अरे ऐसा नहीं सर, अरे सर ऐसा नहीं है, बट जैसे कभी कुछ कोई और एक व्यू हो सकता है सर इसका, तो लाइक कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटीज होती है, तो उसमें अभी अपने को ये चार्ज करना कि नहीं, और चार्ज करके, बिकॉज वी एडवाइस टू द क्लाइंट्स दैट यस प्लीज चार्ज GST and ask refund. Definitely department is denying the refund, and then we are standing before appeal. अभी कमिश्नर अपील में मैटर्स देंगे.
Do you think that कि जो initially जो 25,000 का था, बाद में वो mutually का concept करने के बाद में change करने के बाद में, whether it will be constitutionally valid that के while going into mutuality aspect वो issue आएगा, तो सही, you are right sir, तो better to pay and then fight.
Yes, so अगर वो आप व्यू ले रहे हैं, then definitely और ये क्या जो सिंपल लॉ है वही डाइजेस्ट करने में रेवेन्यू ऑफिसर को टाइम लगता है, तो ये तो आपने अभी भी देखा हो गुजरात हाईकोर्ट में वो मैडम को बोला कि आपने ये जजमेंट जाना हुआ है, ये जाना हुआ है, बोले कि वो तो हमने देखा ही नहीं है. तो ये अभी कलकत्ता क्लब उनको पढ़ाना सिखाना वो तो बहुत दूर की बात है. एंड SGST ऑफिसर्स वेर नेवर dealing with service tax transactions. So in that scenario ये इनको समझाना कि भाई ये प्रिंसिपल म्यूचुअलिटी कुछ होता है, इसमें टैक्स नहीं लगता है, तो मतलब यानी वो डिफिकल्ट है.
सर इवन सर आई अप्रिशिएट योर कंसर्न कि आज की तारीख में इवन एट द हाईएस्ट लेवल ऑफ कोर्ट ना वी डोंट नो हाउ द जजमेंट विल बी गिवन.
यस एंड द वे करंटली
जजमेंट्स आपके सामने सर सर्विस टैक्स रिफंड वाला जो अपना इन्वर्टेड ड्यूटी स्ट्रक्चर के अंदर इट वाज शुड बी 100% शुड बी अलाउड, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने मना कर दिया. इट वाज अ सरप्राइज सर.
VKC फुटवेयर और इवन आपका जो जजमेंट था वो टर्न आउट हो गया भारतीय एयरटेल में. सो वी विल डिस्कस इट इन नेक्स्ट पॉइंट. सो
राइट
नाउ देयर इज अनदर अमेंडमेंट व्हिच इज ऑफ इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट, एंड अमेंडमेंट इन सेक्शन 16 subsection 2AA. It talks that where the details of the invoice or debit note referred to in clause A has been furnished by the supplier in the statement of outward supplies, and such details have been communicated to the recipient of such invoice or debit note in the manner specified under section 37, meaning thereby that your supplier should file GSTR1 in time, and then if the same is reflected in your 2B, then only you are eligible to take the credit. Previously there were 4 conditions. Now this 5th condition is being added. First condition was that you must receive invoice. Second, you must receive supply of goods or service. Third, supplier or taxpayer has filed the return, meaning thereby that your SSC should file the return. And fourth, that supplier must pay the taxes. Now this 5th condition is being added. So if this transaction is not reflected in your 2B, because by notification number 40 rule also amended 36(4), and they have said that your to be, this transaction has to be reflected in your to be, not in 2A. So
Sir, now if you remember in this whether the constitutionally to be will be valid, sir.
Sir, you are correct. Constitutionally, we will also discuss this. So far as the Bharati Airtel Supreme Court judgment says, it says that this is only a facility. So, point for the discussions. Sir, the point for the discussion.
GSTR 1 and 2A is the reflection of GSTR 1. There is a no validity of 2B, sir. 2A again we can say it is valid point, sir. In that case, if supplier has filed the return late or belatedly, government is recovering the interest for that. But why I should be penalized for not availment of credit, non-availment of credit? That's the point.
So before this judgment, there was Rule 36(4), and in Rule 36(4), they have mentioned that it should be reflected in your 2A. First, they said 80%, then they said 90%, and now 95% before this amendment. So we were of the opinion that yes, भाई वो applicable नहीं है, 36(4) applicable नहीं है, because there is no condition ही नहीं है section 62 में, and these rules are beyond the power or beyond the section 16(2). 16(2) restrict नहीं करता है, तो I am eligible for the credit 100%, and this view one should take. I endorse, I agree, and even my view is also that Rule 36(4), nothing doing, we do not agree to that. And with this amendment, we can say that yes, till 31st December 2021, I am not bounded by the 36(4) rule. So
sir,
34 has no relevance.
इतनी बढ़ेगी तो सर वो 2A के साथ डिकाई करे, 2B करे, कितनी पेंडेंसी उसका ध्यान रखे, it's going to be so complicated.
सर बिजनेस जितना कॉम्प्लिकेटेड होगा उतना आपका भी तो काम बढ़ेगा ना सर.
But in my opinion,
yes,
should we fight it should be 2A, not 2B, at least.
सर yes, one should. अगर ऐसा लग रहा है आपको तो कि भाई 2A में होना हो गया तो मेरा हो गया, बट तब तो मैं ऐसा ही बोलूंगा ना भाई 36(4) ही इनवैलिड है, पूरा रूल ही मैं मानता नहीं हूँ, मैं ऐसा भी एक स्टैंड ले सकता हूँ. बट नाउ
नहीं सर,
सो वन पॉसिबिलिटी. हाँ सर,
लास्ट पॉइंट सर
बताइए.
मान लो सर मुझे 11 तारीख तक का GSTR 1 फाइल करना पड़ता, उसने 13 तारीख को GSTR 1 फाइल किया, मेरे 2A में तो आ रहा है पर 2B में नहीं आ रहा है सर.
और सर मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ, yes, सही, agreed. So I am also, I'm not denying your point, but revenue will always say that by 2B में નથી દેખાતું તો credit नहीं મળે. Revenue will always say that. So as a prudent consultant or advisor, we should advise our client कि भाई आप 2B देख लो और 2B से काम कर लो. Now the question is, these rule which says that 2B को मानना है आपको, it will be from 1st January 2022. We are filing GSTR 3B of a client for the month of December in January. 20 January तक फाइल करना था. At that time, whether will you see 2A or 2B, that is also a interpretation issue. In such situation, what we give advice, हमारे क्लाइंट को हम बोल रहे हैं कि भाई अगर क्रेडिट पूरा हो रहा है, दिख रहा है, then definitely go for GSTR 2B. Otherwise, if you are saying नहीं, I don't want to follow 2B, then say that I don't want to follow Rule 36 sub Rule 4 that is there. आपको फॉलो करना ही है तो फिर 2B से कीजिए, बिकॉज 20 तारीख को आज जब आप GSTR 3B फाइल कर रहे हो, एट दैट टाइम स्टैट्यूट में जो रूल है 36(4) वो अमेंड हो चुका है एंड इट टॉक्स अबाउट टू बी ओनली। आज भी अगर आप रिटर्न्स फाइल कर रहे हो या तो इन February और March of previous period, then in that case one can take view or officer can ask you to file 3B of those periods looking to GSTR 2B. So that is what another angle or another view. Second thing is the condition that my supplier should pay the tax. जो section 16 subsection 2 की clause C है, which says that I should be eligible to take the credit only if my supplier has paid the tax. So this condition where I am not able to comply with, अरे भाई मेरे सप्लायर ने पे किया कि नहीं किया वो तो मैं जान ही नहीं सकता हूं, तो वो कंडीशन ऐसी है जो मैं फुलफिल ही नहीं कर सकता हूं। एंड व्हेन द कंडीशन इज नॉट or impossible, then in that situation law cannot ask me to fulfill that condition and we can say that उसने पे किया कि नहीं किया वो मुझे मालूम नहीं है, वो मैं देख भी नहीं सकता हूं और वो मेरा मतलब भी नहीं है। Now let us come to the Bharti Airtel Supreme Court judgment. What this judgment says or talks about in para 46, Honorable Supreme Court has said we need not multiply the authorities referred to in the concerned judgments and cited before us, as in our opinion these decisions have not dealt with the cardinal aspect of statutory obligation fastened upon the registered person to maintain books of accounts and records within the meaning of Chapter 7 of the Rule 2017 rules, which are primary documents and source material on the basis of which self-assessment is done by the registered person, including about his eligibility and entitlement to get ITC and of output tax liability. Form GSTR 2A is only facilitator for taking an informed decision while doing such self-assessment. Non-performance or non-operability of Form GSTR 2A, or for that matter other forms, will be of no avail because the dispensation stipulated at the relevant time oblige the registered person to submit returns on the basis of such self-assessment in the form of GSTR 3B manually on electronic platform. The provision contained in section 39(9) of 2017 Act and Rule 61 of the rules framed thereunder as applicable at the relevant time apply with full vigor to the returns filed by the registered person in form GSTR 3B. So friends, here even Supreme Court says that by GSTR 2A or such platform is only facility. You cannot say that it is your statutory right. What is required to see is your books of accounts. If in your books of account you have availed the credit, you can take the credit. This GSTR 2A is only facility. So I can argue that yes, GSTR 2B is also a facility when I have fulfilled those conditions enumerated in section 16(2), then I am eligible to take the credit with the support of Honorable Supreme Court's judgment in Bharti Airtel's case. Now, with this amendment, what we are required to ensure, हमको क्या देख लेना है कि भाई सप्लायर जो भी है आपका वो कहीं गलत फर्निश नहीं करे GSTN. If he furnish wrong GSTN, then your 2B will not be reflected with the credit. say B2B transactions are not being classified at B2C, because अगर B2C classify हो गए तो भी आपको credit नहीं मिलेगी. And intrastate transaction classified interstate और vice versa. अगर ऐसा भी हो गया तो आपको credit C और S का IGST में दिखेगा, या तो IGST का क्रेडिट जो है वो C और S में दिखेगा. GSTR 3 be filed but not GSTR 1. If your client supplier has not filed GSTR 1, जैसे अभी लड्डा जी से बात हुई, तो अगर उन्होंने फाइल नहीं किया है तो you will be deprived to avail the credit because it will not be reflected in your to be return. So these are the things we as an advisor, we as a chartered accountant are required to ensure for the client that and these things are being taken care. Agar if you think, then please make one advisory, small advisory for your client, give it to them and ask them to circulate to their supplier कि भाई things to do, things not to do करके एक advisory we can definitely make, and we can ask our clients to send it to the supplier. लड्डा जी ऐसी कोई एडवाइजरी अपन सीपी स्टडी सर्कल के मेंबर्स को भी दे सकते हैं? ચાવડા સાહેબ તમે સાંભળતા હો તો આપણે આવી એક એડવાઇઝરી બનાવી અને ડ્રાફ્ટ ભલે આપીએ મેમ્બર્સને, અને members can then use it and send to their clients, and in turn clients will send to their supplier. So our capacity will be also being built with such type of advisory or a communication with the client. અને ત્યારે એવું થઈ શકે કે client will able to understand that yes, my chartered accountant is different than any tax practitioner or a tax professional. So this type of advisory we should try to send. Now there is third amendment in section 75. In section 75, from 1st January 2022, explanation is being added. For the purposes of this subsection, the expression self-assessed tax shall include the tax payable in respect of details of outward supply furnished under section 37, but not included in the return furnished under section 39. Section 75 clause 12 talks about notwithstanding anything contained in section 73 or section 74, where any amount of self-assessed tax in accordance with the return furnished under section 39 remains unpaid, either wholly or partly, or any amount of interest payable on such tax remains unpaid, the same shall be recovered under the provision of section 79. Meaning thereby, what they want to say, your GSTR 1 says turnover of 1 crore. Your 3B says turnover of 70 lakhs. Right? So you are saying your turnover as per 1 GSTR 1 is 1 crore. Your turnover as per 3B is 30 lakhs. So you have not disclosed 70 lakh rupees of your turnover, and they have power directly under section 79 to recover tax for that 70 lakhs which is not disclosed. It might possible that in GSTR 1 there is a typographical error and you have shown your supply more, but if you have shown your supply more and in 3B you have shown your supply less, then under section 79 department has a power to consider this 70 lakhs as self-assessed turnover, and they can ask recovery proceedings directly and for this mismatch, because there was a judgment of Honorable MP High Court in case of Kabir Realty, that's tax declared in GSTR 1 is self-assessed tax, and with this provision one can say that department go come with you and directly recover. I guess there is one circular to this effect, and there is amendment that they have said before coming for a recovery, department should give you opportunity to represent your case. So in such situation, अगर ऐसा कुछ हो जाता है, आपका टर्नओवर GSTR 1 में ज्यादा दिख गया है, 3B में कम दिख रहा है, then definitely you should write one letter to your jurisdictional officer that with this reason my GSTR 1 return shows higher value of my turnover. So then yes, you can save your client. Otherwise, he has to pay the tax, and it will be they according to this provision, this recovery will be started. Direct recovery will be started. Implication क्या होगा ये amendment का? So we need to match our 3B with GSTR 1 every month. GSTR 1 में जो figures गई है outward tax liability की, that must be matched with your 3B. Figure reported in GSTR 1 and not reported in 3B can lead to direct recovery. There is a clarification that before any recovery, they have to give you opportunity of being heard. So it's a cardinal rule or a principle of the law that as per the principle of natural justice, before passing any order or a recovery proceeding start, they must give you an opportunity. So department had clarified that yes, once there is a mismatch and before starting any recovery proceeding, they have to give you a personal hearing and opportunity of being heard. हमको क्या देखना है? एक तो GSTR 3B और GSTR 1 मैच कर लेना है. Then there should not be any typographical error. That is also required to be checked. Ensure any error is reported to department before hand in writing. So what I suggested that अगर ऐसा कुछ गलती हो गया है तो आपको उसको डिपार्टमेंट को इंटीमेट भी कर देना है. एंड उसका भी एक ड्राफ्ट लेटर हम बना सकते हैं and we can circulate amongst the members of our CP study circle. So just like a template की तरह हमारे साथ रहेगा वो. कहीं भी ऐसी गलती हो जाती है तो you can just modify little bit that letter and ask your client to submit the same. Now amendment of the provisional attachment under section 83, which is effective from 1st January 2022. Earlier, the coverage was restricted to proceedings under section 62, 63, 67, 64, 67, 73, and 74. Now, chapters of assessment, audit, and demand and recovery. Now, with these provisional attachment changes, in scrutiny assessment and assessment in certain other cases, they also attach your property. They can issue someone access to the business premises. If tax collected and not paid, tax wrongfully collected, and attachment of the property of the person who are covered by section 122 subsection 1A, that is person who are the beneficiary or at the whose instance the fake invoicing transaction are carried out, being also taken care, and their property can also be provisionally attached. That is what amendment in section 83. So what will be the implication of this amendment? ASMT 10. When you receive this, give your reply in detail. When visit of departmental officer at your premises says that ensure all premises are added in your GST registration and ensure all records are proper. એટલે તમારે એટલું ધ્યાન રાખવાનું છે કે એડિશનલ પ્લેસીસ જેટલા બી છે એટલા જીએસટી ના રજિસ્ટ્રેશનમાં હોય, ના હોય તો એને એડ કરાવી લેવા જોઈએ. અને જે બી રેકોર્ડ્સ જ્યાં રાખવાના છે બુક્સ ઓફ એકાઉન્ટ્સ, those records are kept properly on those premises. Whenever you received any summon, do not ignore a summon, and whenever date has been given અને તમે જો ત્યાં જઈ રહ્યા છો એ સમન ને લઈને, and if you found કે officers are not there, then please try to mark your presence. Ask your client to give a letter in writing that, dear sir, in response to your summon, I presented myself to your office and found that you were not there. Kindly mark my presence. So any summons if you received, then please do address to it. If the client is going there and found that officer is not there, then definitely write one letter in response to that summon that, sir, I visited your office, I found you were not there, but I request you to mark presence before your good self in response to the summons issued. Or and in case of excess tax collected but not paid, and pay tax and then claim refund, that I have paid this tax, I collected this tax, I have paid this excess collection of the tax to my customer, so I am eligible to take the refund of the same and ask for the refund in such situation. Otherwise, yes, with this provisional attachments, right, your assets or client's assets are being attached. E-way bill changes. So previously, in case of e-way bill, when there is any lacuna or error, or even e-way bill were not generated, then the officers and department was having power to charge 100% tax, 100% penalty. Now these provision, because what was happening કે આજે e-way bill માં કોઈ bill પકડાયું, જો ટ્રાન્ઝેક્શન માં પકડાયું અને એની ઉપર e-way bill નથી બનાવ્યું, તો at that time ડિપાર્ટમેન્ટ આપણને એમ કહેતું હતું કે તમે આ બિલના ટેક્સ ભરી દો અને એની પરનું પેનલ્ટી ભરી દો. What happens then after? GSTR 1 જ્યારે એનું ભરવાનું થાય ત્યારે ફરીથી એની પર ટેક્સ ભરવાનું થતું હતું, and that was the hardship that was being represented. તો ગવર્મેન્ટે શું કર્યું કે ભાઈ સારું, તમને 100% ટેક્સ ભરતા હતા અને 100% પેનલ્ટી ભરતા હતા, તો એના કરતા એવું કરી દઈએ કે 200% ટેક્સ ભરી દો, તમે 200% પેનલ્ટી ભરી દો. So now you are paying 200% of penalty, and in such situation you will not ask કે જ્યારે તમારું ટ્રાન્ઝેક્શન કે સપ્લાય થયું ત્યારે અમે ફરીથી ભરીએ છીએ. At that time તમારે GSTR 1 માં ટ્રાન્ઝેક્શન શો કરવાનું જ છે અને એનો ટેક્સ બી ભરવાનો છે. Because that was a beneficial thing which one had to incorporate. Instead of that, now they have said that 200% penalty in case when the buyer or the seller is not identifiable. So far as the truck operator નું એમાં એ જો દેખાય નહીં કે એનો જે goods છે એનું માલિક કોણ છે, તો 200% પેનલ્ટી ભરી દો. Otherwise, on the payment of applicable taxes and penalty equal to 50% of the value of the goods reduced by the tax amount paid thereon. In case of exempted goods, on payment of an amount equal to 5% in case of exempted goods, if the buyer is or a seller or supplier is known. Right? Lataji, અત્યાર સુધીમાં કઈ or anyone wants to ask anything? बताइए सर. आप अनम्यूट कीजिए. आप म्यूट हो लड्डा जी.
हाँ सर,
यस। सो
नहीं आप
प्रोविजनल
सही कह रहे
अटैचमेंट
हैं।
में, हाँ, इफ यू वांट टू ऐड समथिंग।
नहीं सर,
ठीक ठीक
बहुत हेवी पेनल्टीज में एक ही इशू आएगा सर।
हाँ
नाउ कभी कभी क्या होगा ना सर कि मेटेरियल की वैल्यू से ज्यादा पेनल्टी, तो पीपल विल नॉट वांट टू एक्चुअली मेटेरियल छुड़ाना नहीं चाहेंगे, तो उसमें गाड़ी अटक जाएगी और कुछ
तो गाड़ी अटक
और
जाएगी तो देयर इज आल्सो अ प्रोविजन कि
यस।
ट्रांसपोर्टर का कन्वेंस भी सीज हो जाएगा। बट विथ दिस अमेंडमेंट नाउ दे हैव डीलिंग बिटवीन transporter and supplier of the goods. So if transporter wants to have his litigation separately, तो वो अभी कर सकता है। वो अपना जो भी पेनल्टी है वो पे करके अपना व्हीकल नाउ ही कैन गेट इट डिसीज, वो छुड़वा सकता है वो अपना।
मेरे को
क्योंकि
लगता है
पहले
सर इसमें है ना सर, अब इशू जो है ना करप्शन ज्यादा होगा कि कोई भी आदमी सर 200% पेनल्टी छुड़ा के मटेरियल छुड़ाएगा, ऐसा लगता नहीं है सर।
नहीं, अगर आइडेंटिफाइबल नहीं है तो डेफिनेटली नहीं छुड़ाएगा। और उसमें
हाँ।
फिर वो कन्वेंस भी है ना, वो भी वो लोग नहीं छोड़ेंगे। इसलिए ट्रांसपोर्टर को फिर ऐसा करना पड़ेगा, जो डीलिंग हो गया है अभी, कि उसका व्हीकल छुड़वाने के लिए व्हाट एवर पेनल्टी ही इज रिक्वायर्ड टू पे, ही हैज टू पे। सो फॉर दिस they have amended this very subsection, and where the person transporting any goods or the owner of such goods fails to pay the amount of penalty, then they have dealing it, जो भी ट्रांसपोर्टर है उसका सेपरेटली चलेगा लिटिगेशन, और जो सप्लायर है उसका सेपरेट चलेगा। ट्रांसपोर्टर कैन पे टैक्स एंड पेनल्टी बेसिकली, एंड ही कैन गेट इट conveyance release from the authority. So this is the provision or amendment.
हेलो
yes
બિશનજી,
બોલો રોમિલ ભાઈ।
આમાં પણ જેનો આઈડેન્ટિફાય છે એને પેનલ્ટી કેટલી?
એની 50%।
50%। અને એમાં જે ટેક્સ ભરે એની પણ ક્રેડિટ તો નહીં મળે ને?
એ 129 130 અને 74 ના હોય તો ના મળે।
ઓકે, પણ આ લોકો
સેક્શન 17।
હેલો,
હા હા બોલો બોલો બોલો।
વેલ્યુએશન ડિફરન્સ માં જે ટેક્સ ભરાવે છે,
હા હા,
તો એમાં પેનલ્ટી લગાવે એ તો ના મળે, પણ ટેક્સ ની પછી શું કરવાનું?
વેલ્યુએશન ના ડિફરન્સ માં એટલે તમે જે વેલ્યુ બતાવી છે 100 રૂપિયા બતાવી છે, અને ડિપાર્ટમેન્ટ નું કહેવાનું છે 150 રૂપિયા છે, રાઈટ? અને એવા વેલ્યુએશન ડિફરન્સ માં કરતા હો તો તમે એ કિસ્સામાં લિટિગેશન કરી શકો છો। જો એટલે અપીલ તમે ફાઇલ કરી શકો છો। લડ્ડાજી, હવે તમારા ત્યાં વેલ્યુએશન ના કેસ થયા છે ખરા કોઈ?
ટોબેકો માં કરતા હોય છે ઘણી વખત।
बट आपके साथ डॉक्यूमेंट है, आपके लिए तो डॉक्यूमेंट होगा, अनलेस वो प्रूव करके अंडर वैल्यूएशन है तो अलग बात है सर। बट इनवॉइस डॉक्यूमेंट वो जनरली सही कह रहे हो, टोबैको वगैरह में अंडर वैल्यूएशन होता ही होता है।
और ये भी तो अपने पास फेमस केस भी है, पीयूष जैन वाला, डीजीजीआई अहमदाबाद को।
ओके
नहीं, बट वी नीड टू फाइट दोस केसेस।
बराबर।
सर एक इशू हो रहा है अदर देन दिस इशू, पूरे गुजरात के अंदर सर ईवे बिल की हियरिंग नहीं हो रही है, तो जब भी आप ग्रीवांसेस कमेटी का पार्ट है ना सर, तो ये इशू हाईलाइट करना है सर।
नहीं, मैं अगर मुझे कोई लिख के देना तो आई वी कैन डेफिनेटली टेल द सेम टू द chairman or secretary of GST redressal committee here, and then we will forward it। नहीं हो रहा है, मेरे भी क्लाइंट्स हैं, आई नो, यहाँ पे SGST वाले एक भी ईवे बिल का वो कर नहीं रहे, तो हमको इसके लिए कुछ करना तो पड़ेगा। मुझे कोई क्लाइंट का अगर किसी का ऐसा मिल जाए, कोई आपने कंप्लेन या ऐसा कुछ दे सकते हो। हाँ, GST सेक्रेटरी टू GST रिड्रेसल कमेटी गुजरात, और सीसी में मेंबर GST रिड्रेसल कमेटी, आप मुझे सीसी में रख दीजिए।
ठीक है,
देन वी विल टेक इट फॉरवर्ड सर, और वो करना ही जरूरी है।
हाँ सर, एक भी केस डिस्पोजल नहीं हुआ अभी तक, और जब भी जाते तो बोलेंगे ऊपर से ऑर्डर नहीं है इसका करने।
हाँ, ऊपर से नहीं है, सही है सर। सेक्शन 130 के कॉन्फिस्केशन के जो है व्हीकल के और गुड्स के, उसमें उन्होंने वही जो डीलिंग कर दिया है, एंड जो पेनल्टी है वो जो पहले जो टैक्स भी हम भर रहे थे 100% की जगह वो 200% पेनल्टी कर दिया है। नाउ सेक्शन 151 जो हमारा स्टैटिस्टिकल इंफॉर्मेशन के लिए है, सो नाउ द कमिश्नर, प्रीवियसली द कमिश्नर इन द काउंसिल, that was the word in section 151. So the commissioner in council means previously Upendra Gupta ji was there, तो वो CGST के काउंसिल के कमिश्नर को पावर था। Now with this amendment they said that the commissioner or an officer authorized by him may by an order direct any person to furnish information relating to any matter dealt with in connection with this act within such time, in such form and in such manner as may be specified therein. तो यहाँ पे इनका कहने का मतलब ये है, एक तो 168 में रेफरेंस जो था सेक्शन 151(2) का वो ओमिट कर दिया है। सेक्शन 168 रिफ्लेक्ट्स विद कमिश्नर इन द काउंसिल, तो यहाँ पे वो डीलिंग कर दिया है। एंड जो 151 में जो बात बताई गई है वो कमिश्नर has a power to call for any information, और इसका हेडिंग भी यही है कि this is for the statistical information. So if they want any information from any banker or any insurance company or any NBFCs related to any transaction or with from any other person कि भाई इतने ये कमोडिटी का यहाँ पे टर्नओवर कितना हुआ, ये जो सारी इंफॉर्मेशन उनको चाहिए, तो स्टैटिस्टिकल इंफॉर्मेशन के लिए they can ask for this information. माइंड वेल, ये इन्वेस्टिगेशन के लिए नहीं है, इट इज नॉट फॉर द इन्वेस्टिगेशन। यस चावड़ा साहब बोलो बोलो बोलो।
बस सर।
ओके ओके, सो આ એક સ્ટેટિસ્ટિકલ ઇન્ફોર્મેશન માટે નું જ એમેન્ડમેન્ટ છે। ઇટ ઇઝ નોટ કે ભાઈ ડિપાર્ટમેન્ટ વોન્ટ્સ ફ્રોમ ઇન્ફોર્મેશન from any other person. So this is for section 152. No information of any individual written or part thereof with respect to any matter given for the purpose of section 150 or section 151 without the previous consent. So जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन, वॉट एवर इंफॉर्मेशन दे हैव गैदर्ड अंडर सेक्शन 150 और 151, दे विल नॉट डिस्क्लोज दिस इंफॉर्मेशन टू एनी अदर पर्सन बिफोर टेकिंग एनी कंसेंट ऑफ अ पर्सन हुज इंफॉर्मेशन इज बीइंग डिस्क्लोज टू एनीवन। सो अंडर सेक्शन 152 दे हैव अमेंडेड दिस फॉर द डिस्क्लोजर ओनली। Yes, other authentication under Rule 10B, other authentication for registered person was added earlier Rule 10B, but from 1st October 2022, now it is mandatory in the case of taxpayer intends to file the return, file the refund application under Rule 89 or Rule 96. Now, if refund application or GST registration revocation application is to be filed, then it's recommended to carry out other authentication at the earliest. That is what we are also recommending to the clients. ये अदर ऑथेंटिकेशन आपका करवा लीजिए अगर आप रिफंड एप्लीकेशन और कैंसलेशन ऑफ रिवोकेशन का एप्लीकेशन कर रहे हैं। तो अभी यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है कि जीएसटी ऑफिसर्स एसजीएसटी में उनका एक इंटरनल सर्कुलर है ऑफ साइट विजिट। अगर आप रिफंड एप्लीकेशन फाइल कर रहे हैं, सो दे आर कमिंग टू योर प्लेस फॉर साइट विजिट, वेदर दिस SSC or a taxpayer is in existence or not. I guess that is their internal circular, though in law there is no provision that site visit करना है, but वो लोग कर रहे हैं, and we also require to help to the authority or tax officials that कि भाई yes they are granting refund to the genuine taxpayers. With this other authentication also, now that purpose will be served. सर रेस्टोरेंट सर्विस का जो सर्कुलर आया था, थ्रू इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर, द टैक्स टू बी पेड बाय इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर इवन दो इफ द रेस्टोरेंट इज यूआरडी। से रेस्टोरेंट ऑपरेटर जो है वो रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं लिया है उसने, but if the transaction is being through ECO, then the tax is required to be paid by the ECO. It might possible when the restaurant is doing business through electronic commerce operator, I guess he is required to compulsory get himself registered. So ये जो सर्कुलर में ये क्लैरिफिकेशन दिया हुआ है, वो उसका कोई मतलब नहीं रहता है कि भाई वो URD से परचेस करेगा, because as per section 24 compulsory registration में if you are doing any transaction, क्या है, kindly throw light on change in GST rate for government contract from 1/1/22. सर वो एक बार अपने को आपके पास अगर है लड्डा जी, तो 1 जनवरी 2022 से गवर्नमेंट कॉन्ट्रैक्टर में जो चेंजेस आए हैं वो मैंने इसमें इंक्लूड नहीं किए, बट वो रेट कॉन्ट्रैक्ट अगर आपके पास हो तो आप भी शेयर कीजिए, वी विल डिस्कस इट।
डाउनलोड करना पड़ेगा सर आपको, तो नहीं तो
अच्छा।
एक बार बिना उससे कर लेते हैं मोटा मोटा, एक बार मैं देखता हूँ जस्ट मिनट।
हाँ, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर से जो भी था, सो अगर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर ये कर रहा है ट्रांजैक्शन, देन ही हैज टू पे द टैक्स थ्रू कैश एंड इट विल बी एडेड इन द एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर ऑफ बोथ इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर एंड रेस्टोरेंट सर्विस प्रोवाइडर। दोनों के टर्नओवर में, एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर में उसको ऐड किया जाएगा ये टर्नओवर को, और फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ ऑडिट, और यानी फॉर फाइलिंग ऑफ 99C द सेम विल बी टेकन इनटू कंसिडरेशन। रिपोर्टिंग को भी दोनों को करना है GSTR 1 में। If you are supplying goods or these services through restaurant e-commerce operator, yes, no need to take separate registration as they are having registration for TCS e-commerce operator जो भी है, जो restaurant services बेच रहा है अपने platforms, so he is not required to take separate registration, but in his registration which he has taken for TCS for deducting tax collected at source, वही चलेगा, सेपरेट रजिस्ट्रेशन लेने की जरूरत नहीं है। सर मेरा जो पोर्शन था which I thought is covered in these slides only, जो गवर्नमेंट वाला है, I guess someone had asked me, I have not covered it, and yes, लड्डा जी आपके पास है वो क्या?
सर मैं देख रहा हूँ इससे।
हाँ,
स्टार्टअप चेयर हो गया, मैं तो बहुत
आनंद जी 2 मिनट सर।
I'm all yours today.
यस लद्दा जी,
एक ही सेकंड सर, वो खोल दूं क्या मैं?
हाँ खोल दो ना अगर खोल सकते।
जो वर्क्स कॉन्ट्रैक्ट की बात कर रहे हैं उसी की कर रहे हैं ना सर?
हाँ 999954 में आई गेस।
यस मैं खोल रहा हूँ, जो 12 से 18% हुआ है, करेक्ट?
12 से 18% हुआ है, यस।
जस्ट अ मिनट, मैं खोल देता हूँ। स्क्रीन विजिबल है सर?
नहीं अभी दिख नहीं रहा है, स्क्रीन दिख नहीं रहा है।
लद्दा जी, you need to share the screen.
हाँ मैंने शेयर किया है सर।
नहीं आ रहा है सर, ये बिशन जी का थैंक यू दिख रहा है।
हाँ आ रहे, मैं मेरा शेयर कब ये स्टॉप कर दिया मैंने। यस अभी लड्डा जी का।
यस
जस्ट अ मिनट,
लड्डा जी वापस चला गया अपना। हाँ
वापस कर रहा हूँ।
जरा सर तुम्हारी जोड़े भी जो कोई अपडेट हो तो यू कैन प्लीज।
सर आ रही है
स्क्रीन दिख रही है तो 9954 में प्रीवियसली
आप ही कह रही
नहीं, बोलो आप बोलो, विल डिस्कस।
So the composite supply जो works contract is in a specific scenario where labor and material supply both are involved. And in that case, how to quantify? Earlier there was a service tax regime and a sales tax regime. So how to quantify the sales tax component or service tax component is in a specific provision. So दोनों में अलग-अलग थे. So now there is a single supply under works contract, and earlier it was 12%. So I'm just reading the relevant part. Composite supply. Now the word mentioned is composite supply. So there is no bifurcation; it's naturally bundled. Composite supply of works contract is defined in clause 119 of section 2 of CGST Act. Supply to the government or a local authority or a government authority by way of constructions, erections, commissioning, installation, completion, fitting out, repair, maintenance, renovation and alteration of. किस क्या उसने स्पेसिफाई किया जो पहले 12 से 18% में उसने बाइफिकेट में डाला है. हिस्टोरिकल मोन्यूमेंट, archaeological site, remains of national importance, archaeological excavations. तो ये जो हिस्टोरिकल है पाइपलाइन, नाउ इवन इट इज पाइपलाइन, कंड्यूट, water supply, water treatment, sewage. So I think this will cover the canal, dam, etc. all. So earlier all these were actually in 12%. Now because of the inverted duty structure, the refund issue was there, and to reduce the refund working at both the end, either at the SSC side or the departmental side, they brought into this, because whatever supply was there, whether it is electrical fittings or whether it is cement or anything, all are under 18% or more, and where we need to supply in 12%. So government is ready to absorb this GST, and there is no requirement to file refund claim on this aspect. Accordingly, the contract value needs to be increased to that extent, but refund claim burden will be reduced to that extent. Correct, Bishan sir?
Perfect, and that's why, because previously वो inverted duty structure में जा रहे थे, and सारे जो products हैं, inputs उनके हैं that were liable for 18%, and वहाँ पे वो credit filing हो रही थी. So this is basically a beneficial change which came into the place. यस रमेश भाई, તમે કઈ એમાં એડ કરશો સર?
इसमें दो बेनिफिट है सर जो आप बोल रहे हैं. एक तो बिकॉज मुझे रिफंड कल सप्लाई का मिलता था, मटेरियल का, सर्विस का नहीं मिलता था. नाउ बिकॉज ऑफ दिस माय एक्यूमुलेशन इन अकाउंट ऑफ सर्विस आल्सो विल रिड्यूस.
ओके, एक्चुअली मेरा जो क्वेश्चन था बेसिकली लता जी, वो डिपेंड ये चीज कर रहा है कि जो 12 to 18% किया है उसमें उन्होंने
आवाज कट रही सर आपकी आवाज.
तो मेरा जो क्वेश्चन था, वेदर रिबेट इज द कॉन्ट्रैक्ट इज फ्रॉम द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, वेदर 12% इज एप्लीकेबल और 18% इज एप्लीकेबल.
सर there is a specified supply of contract, उसमें वाटर ट्रीटमेंट है, सीवेज है. इफ योर
लड्डा जी उसमें ऊपर जाएंगे ना तो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट एंड स्टेट गवर्नमेंट दोनों लिखा हुआ है. इफ यू सी फर्स्ट लाइन ऊपर जाइए थोड़ा. हाँ,
गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटी लिखा है सर वर्ड. तो सप्लाई टू गवर्नमेंट, लोकल अथॉरिटी और गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटी.
या सो गवर्नमेंट मींस सेंट्रल एंड स्टेट बोथ. दैट इज व्हाट आई वांट टू से.
बहुत
तो सर પૂજારા સાહેબ, તો આ એપ્લિકેબલ થશે એ સેન્ટર માં બી અને સ્ટેટ માં બી, સે સીપીડબ્લ્યુડી હોય કે
સેન્ટર અને સ્ટેટ માટે 12% રહેશે કે 18% રહેશે?
સર હવે આમાં 18% થઈ ગયા છે ને.
આઈ થિંક ત્યાં જે एक्चुअली ઇશ્યુ છે, કારણ કે એ લોકો જે ચેન્જ કર્યા છે એમાં બે વસ્તુ હટાઈ છે. એમાં ગવર્નમેન્ટ ઓથોરિટી અને ગવર્નમેન્ટ એન્ટિટી, આ બે વસ્તુ અંદરથી રિમૂવ કરી છે, બાકી બધું એઝ ઇટ ઇઝ રાખ્યું છે.
તો સર પણ એમ નહીં, રેટ તો તમારો સેમ ટુ સેમ જ છે ને, 12% જ છે એમાં.
એટલે સેન્ટ્રલ ગવર્નમેન્ટ માટે
લડ્ડાજી,
12% રહેશે કે 18% રહેશે?
લડ્ડાજી ફર્સ્ટ એન્ટ્રી જે છે એમાં 12 નો रेट 18% કર્યો છે. શેના માટે? ऊपर जरा लड्डाजी ऊपर का जो हेडिंग दिख रहा है इसमें, हाँ, न्यू रेट परसेंटेज एम्प्लॉयर प्रोजेक्ट अथॉरिटी, गवर्नमेंट एंटिटी, गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटी एंड अदर्स. सो પૂજારા સાહેબ જેમ કહે છે કે એ નવો રેટ જે છે that is applicable so far as the governmental authority or government entity is concerned. તો સ્ટેટ ઓર સેન્ટ્રલ ગવર્મેન્ટ જ હોય તો બંનેમાં 12% છે, રાઈટ?
Right.
લટાજી?
Yes, sir. Employer, project, authority, central government, state government, and union territory and local authority 12% continue. A new rate for employer, project, authority, government
Is
entity,
government
government
entity,
authority, and others. So government entity and government authority के लिए 18 है, otherwise it is 12% continue, sir.
Yes.
He is right.
Yes.
He is right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you are correct, Pooja.
So-
You are correct.
और सेकंड पार्ट में सर वो कंटिन्यू कर रहे हैं कल ओनली स्पेसिफाइड टू दीज ओनली चेंजेस बाकी अदरवाइज देयर इज नो चेंजेस इन दिस ओके देयर इज नो अदर चेंजेस
Yes, yes. So, sir, if we can, if there are any other questions, then as we previously, discussed, we can have another meeting also. Because there is also one judgment of Calcutta High Court, which says that in case of bogus billing or fake billing, if LSW or something,
आज भी एक जजमेंट रिपोर्ट हुआ है सर सुप्रीम कोर्ट का है इस पे ईवे बिल पे
हाँ वो तो हाँ ईवे बिल पे वो तो जो उसको पेनल्टी लगाया वो हाई कोर्ट ने 10,000 कर दिया था सुप्रीम कोर्ट
Yes,
से
yes.
that is no
यस
you are there is hardships to SSC, so you should be penalized with 69,000 only.
बहुत इन्होंने मतलब हरेस किया एक्चुअली देखा जाए तो ईवे बिल के अंदर
हाँ और ये बोगस बिलिंग वाला जो जजमेंट है वो मैं LSW का ही है, let me check. तो it says that कि लड्डा जी अगर if you are though your supplier is saying कि I have supplied I have not supplied these goods or services, then also if you are able to prove from your record and your stock register, yes, you have received these goods, you have paid the payment to the supplier, then in that case your transaction will not be treated as a bogus and you are eligible for the credit. वो
आई एम नॉट इन फॉल्ट
हाँ LSW का या वो एक जजमेंट है. So that is what I want to just make aware to all the members.
सर दो चीज पे अपन ये बात तो करी थे
LG वो जो जजमेंट है वो LGW इंडस्ट्रीज का है. आई विल शेयर विथ इन द ग्रुप, अगर ऐसा लगा तो अपना जो स्टडी सर्कल ग्रुप है उसके अंदर आई विल शेयर दैट जजमेंट. यस सर. तो चावड़ा साहब
ये जो
दैट्स ऑल फॉर
रेस्टोरेंट
yes.
सेल है टू ई कॉमर्स, उसमें एक्चुअली थोड़ा लाइट डाल सकते हैं, मतलब कि अगर यूआईडी वाला रेस्टोरेंट है तो क्या
સર સર્ક્યુલર એવું કહે છે કે યુઆરડી વાળું બી હોય તો બી ઇલેક્ટ્રોનિક કોમર્સ ઓપરેટરે ટેક્સ ભરવો પડશે તેની પરનો. બટ સર સેક્શન 24 એવું કહે છે કે તમે જ્યારે કોઈ બી ટ્રાન્ઝેક્શન માં એન્ટર થાઓ થ્રુ ઇલેક્ટ્રોનિક્સ કોમર્સ ઓપરેટર, then you are compulsorily required to take the registration. Though circular says કે તમે યુઆરડી જોડી લો તો બી ઇલેક્ટ્રોનિક કોમર્સ ઓપરેટરે ટેક્સ ભરી દેવાનું છે. So here they want to say ઇલેક્ટ્રોનિક કોમર્સ ઓપરેટરે ટેક્સ ભરવો જ પડશે. અને આમ બી જવાબદારી બી સર્ક્યુલરમાં અને અથવા તો જે એમેન્ડમેન્ટ છે that also cast responsibility on the electronic commerce operator to pay the tax.
ઓકે, અને આરડી માં શું પોઝિશન રહેશે? રેસ્ટોરન્ટ એ ઈ કોમર્સ ને
વેચ્યું હોય તો એને ઇલેક્ટ્રોનિક કોમર્સ ઓપરેટરે ટેક્સ ભરવાનો છે.
અને જે રજીસ્ટ્રેશન રજીસ્ટર્ડ ટુ ઈ કોમર્સ છે એ ટ્રાન્ઝેક્શન ઉપર શું થશે?
સર બંનેવા કેસમાં યુઆરડી હોય તો બી અને આરડી હોય તો બી. આમ તો માણસ યુઆરડી હોય જ ના શકે આ ટ્રાન્ઝેક્શનમાં, એને રજીસ્ટ્રેશન લેવું જ પડે અને ઇલેક્ટ્રોનિક્સ કોમર્સ ઓપરેટરે જ ટેક્સ ભરવાનો છે.
નહીં, મારો ક્વેશ્ચન એવો છે કે રજિસ્ટર્ડ રેસ્ટોરન્ટ છે એ ઈ કોમર્સ ઓપરેટરને આપશે, ઈ કોમર્સ ઓપરેટર આપશે કસ્ટમરને. તો જે રેસ્ટોરન્ટ ટુ ઈ કોમર્સ ઓપરેટર જે બિલિંગ સિસ્ટમ થશે એમાં શું કન્ડિશન આવશે? એમાં
વિધાઉટ ટેક્સ સર, વિધાઉટ ટેક્સ. એમાં કોઈ ટેક્સ જ નથી ભરવાનો સર, બટ લાયબિલિટી ઈ કોમર્સ ઓપરેટરની છે.
મતલબ એઝ આપણે જ્યારે રિપોર્ટ કરતા આવીશું રેસ્ટોરન્ટના
ત્યારે આપણે એમાં લખી નાખીશું રેસ્ટોરન્ટમાં કે રિસ્પોન્સિબિલિટી ઇઝ ઓફ અંડર રિવર્સ ચાર્જ
અંડર આરસીએમ ને
કોમર્સ આરસીએમ. યસ સર, જસ્ટ લાઈક અ ટ્રાન્સપોર્ટરમાં કરીએ છીએ એવી રીતના. યસ સર. So can we conclude, sir?
I think we can. Chavda sahab.
Yes,
Chintan bhai, wow, wow.
Bishan.
One of the
Great to see you.
more highest energetic person.
Yes, and fit.
Great, sir. Sir, it was very nice listening you. હું સાંભળ્યું તો સર તમને અને તમે very પણ સાંભળ્યું. That was also very relevant. અને he was also raising good points.
समझने की 15 साल में कैलकुलेशन
ચાવડા સાહેબ.
હા બોલો બોલો.
વોટ ઓફ થેન્ક્સ કહું છું સાહેબ, તમે જ આપો, વાંધો નહીં.
અરે તમે છો ને યાર, હું આપું તમે આપો, ઇટ્સ ઓલ વન એન્ડ સેમ યાર.
સરસ. થેન્ક યુ બિશનભાઈ. તમારું આ લેક્ચર આમ તો મેં એસોસિએશન નું હતું ત્યારે પણ એસોસિએશનમાં હતું તમારું બિગિનિંગ ઓફ ધી મંથમાં લાસ્ટ, ત્યારે પણ તમને સાંભળ્યું.
થેન્ક યુ સર, થેન્ક યુ.
કદાચ અત્યારે આ બધા ટેક્સ ઓડિટોમાં પણ એનો આપણે યુઝ થઈ, જીએસટી માં પણ એન્યુઅલ રિટર્ન વગેરેમાં પણ એનો સર યુઝ થશે અને ડેફિનેટલી knowledge refreshing and we got to know so many new things. So thank you so much.
Thank you sir, thank you.
soon પાછા કંઈક ના કંઈક પ્રોગ્રામોમાં
Definitely sir. It's my pleasure sir. અને in the beginning also લડ્ડાજીએ બી એક સજેશન આપ્યું હતું. On that basis we should try to talk, interact on the recent developments or judgments so far as the GST law is concerned. એવું કંઈક થઈ શકે તો આપણે શ્યોરલી મીટિંગ કરીશું. મારી જોડે જે મટીરિયલ છે I will share in the group, તો તમે બી મેમ્બર્સને એનો બેનિફિટ પાસ ઓન કરી શકો. પ્લસ જે વેલ્યુ એડિશન જેટલા આપણે આપણા મેમ્બર્સને આપીએ ને એ એમના ક્લાયન્ટને આપે, એવું કંઈ બી જો થઈ શકતું હોય તો we'll definitely try to have such resources also which we as a Gandhinagar CP study circle can value add to the members. Sir, thank you.
ચિંતનભાઈ, મોર્નિંગમાં છે ને ચિંતનભાઈ, સવારમાં there was one discussion કે એમાં લદ્દાજી અને ઇવન બિશનભાઈ બધાનું સજેશન હતું કે ભાઈ અત્યારે ડે એન્ડ નાઇટ એટલા બધા ચેન્જીસ આવી રહ્યા છે, તો એક કેમ કે મેમ્બર્સ મીટ જેવું આપણે ઓનલાઈન કે એવું કંઈક કરીએ એટલીસ્ટ વન્સ ઇન અ મંથ, તો જેથી કરીને શું થાય નવા જજમેન્ટ્સ હોય. આપણે જે સેમિનાર્સ કરીએ ધેટ્સ ફાઇન, પણ એ સિવાય શું એક ડિસ્કશન ફોરમ જેવું રાખીએ કે એમાં આપણે બધા સારા બધા, જો આપણે તો ગ્રુપમાં ઘણા બધા સ્પીકર બી છે અને પછી ધીમે ધીમે શું 2-4 સેમિનાર આવી રીતે મીટિંગ થશે ને, ગ્રુપ ડિસ્કશન મીટિંગ, આગળ આપણે ડિસ્કસ બી થયેલું પણ પછી કેપિટલાઇઝ નહીં થઈ શક્યું. તો આપણે સાહેબ આ વખતથી જ એવું એક પ્લાન કરીએ કે થોડી ઇન્ફોર્મલ ગેધરિંગ જેવું હોય કે ભલે સીપી અવર્સ ના હોય, બટ વી ઓલ ધ મેમ્બર્સ વિલ ગેટ ટુગેધર ઓન આ યુટ્યુબ, ધીસ ઓન ઝૂમ પ્લેટફોર્મ એન્ડ વિલ ડિસ્કસ સર્ટેન એમેન્ડમેન્ટ્સ. અને જેને બી લેટેસ્ટ, માને અત્યારે લદ્દાજીને બી ક્યાંક ગયા હતા, એમને એક્સપિરિયન્સ કીધો, આપણે બિશનભાઈએ કીધો. સો ઇટ વોઝ બેઝિકલી નોલેજ શેરિંગ એન્ડ આપણને શું હોય કે જ્યારે રિપ્રેઝન્ટ કરવામાં ઇટ વિલ હેલ્પ અસ અ લોટ. તો લેટ અસ ડિસાઇડ વન ડે, let us discuss little bit in our this group and finalize one day, and we assured him that from this month itself we will arrange one such meeting, and definitely all the members will be participating there, and it will be definitely enriching the knowledge.
બરાબર છે ના, definitely it will be very useful and very rightly suggested by Bishan bhai and Laddaji and all. So it will be very much useful, and we'll definitely keep it and manage it for sure. Barabar છે sir.
Yes, yes.
Very good sir, very good sir.
Thank
ચોક્કસ.
you.
ભલે sir, thank you sir.
चलो
Thank
सर, थैंक यू सर, थैंक्स
Thank
फॉर
you,
इंटरेक्टिंग,
Lata ji, Ramesh
गिविंग
bhai.
दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी.
you sir.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes.